Omini then joins us today again for the newspaper review. Good morning to you, Omini.
Good morning. Good morning, Nigeria.
Okay, Kingsley, want to start off?
Yeah, well, let's begin with you.
Okay, all right. I'll start off with the stories on the front page of the Daily Trust. Leading for the Daily Trust this morning, students starve as politicians eat fat. Story starts right there, but continues on page 5. But just above that story, you find this one. How ex-military chiefs stole $15 billion. That's according to a report, and you find that report on inside page 3. The photograph you have there is, of course, for children in a school in Osun State. Primary school children eat orange sweet potato provided by the International Potato Center, which visited public schools in Osogbo yesterday. Osinbajo signs 3 executive orders. That story is trending on page 5. NNPC enters $6 billion oil swap deals with 10 companies. That story on page 3. And reps can't intervene in Sanusi's probe. This is coming from Kano State Speaker. That story you find on page 4.
All right. Let's take a look at the front page of Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard newspaper also has a story that Blessing was talking about a moment ago with regard to military expenditure in the past. Let's look at Vanguard now. The lead story says, Army TI tango over alleged annual looting of 380 billion naira. TI, of course, stands for Transparency International. So Army and TI tango over alleged annual looting of 380 billion naira. With a rider, Sage, Sav, and Junaid Mohammed, others react. Now, we have not arrested anyone in connection with incitement. That's according to Defense Headquarters. Of course, that's another story that we also took a look at yesterday. Let's go above the nameplate of Vanguard once again and see the number of headlines there. Nollywood star Moji Olaya dies in Canada. That story, of course, can be found inside the paper. And then Senate asks DG National Lottery Commission to quit office. And Jonathan's traducers need medical examination. That's according to Wike, who is governor of Rivers. NNPC, Owando, Sahara, and 18 others to sign $6 billion oil swap deal. And stakeholders move to end blame game, as well as promise better power supply. Now, let's go quickly to other headlines. You can see the photograph. That was a scene from a building that collapsed yesterday in Lagos. 1 dead, scores trapped, and 15 foreigners injured as building collapses in Lagos. Well, some reports said the collapse took place at the Riakari estate part of Lagos. And then you have a story there just above the cartoon. Is a story on the fate of the naira. It says naira rises to 375 to the dollar on parallel market. So those are some of the stories from the front page of Vanguard newspaper.
Yes, let's start with the collapsed building yesterday. It was a sad scene yesterday at number 4 Richard Abimbola Street in the Solo area of Lagos. Although the Vanguard says 1 died, 17 rescued. Punch is talking about 3 workers killed, 16 rescued. But the story behind it is that residents of the area said during the construction started on the 8th of February, and along the line, they noticed that the building tilted to one side. They called the attention of the contractor, who said there was no problem. He only added a pillar to it. And days after, they noticed regulatory agencies came in there, sealed the house. 2 days after they opened the house, construction resumed, and 2 days after the house collapsed. As we speak, the developer is at large and his phones are switched off. So that is you ask questions about regulators, what are they doing? And yesterday, the Transparency International is at war of words with the Nigerian army when they raised a report to say that there was so much fraud regarding funding of the Northeast operations. But the Nigerian army said that is not correct. It's a way of trying to dissuade or discourage the officers from doing their job. Well, maybe investigations will go to that effect. 3 executive orders were handed out yesterday by the acting president, tied around the need for timelines to be met on budget submissions, local content, and the ease of doing business in Nigeria. ultimately, what that order is all about is for people to keep the timelines and ensure that things are done within time. But the most important one is that the need for Nigerians, and the emphasis that at public functions henceforth, we must eat and consume what is produced in Nigeria. That is the emphasis ultimately. Then the other one, which is it looks small but big, the Nigeria Civil Security and Civil Defense Corps at National State University in Kefi or Lafia intercepted a 21-year-old man by name Liman while searching for candidates to going for exam hall with locally made pistols loaded with 2 rounds of ammunition.
Yeah, that story is on the front page of the Daily Sun.
He said it was given by a friend to hold. And the question is, what are you going to an exam hall with such
to fire the questions.
Well, that's the story found on the front page of the Daily Sun, leading for the Daily Sun. Joint Admission Matriculation Board candidate arrested with gun. Man in possession of locally made gun, 2 rounds of live ammunition in examination hall, like I've pointed out already.
It probably requires some
protection.
Not just protection, examination as well. Probably psychiatrist.
Exactly.
You don't need a gun to get to an examination.
All right. Still on the front page of the Daily Sun, the photograph there, you have a Controller, Nigerian Immigration Service, and Farah Combined, Mr. Apollos Usman Ono, that's the one in cap, parading some suspected illegal immigrants at the command's headquarters in Gusau yesterday. Other stories, Senate bars Buhari's appointee from office, with the rider furious over DG's assumption of office before confirmation. I think we're already taking on that story. Recession, what federal government didn't do right. This is coming from Soludo. You find that story on page 8. DSS and DDC under probe. With the rider, National Assembly investigates lopsided recruitments and fund use.
Yeah, that's the story. That's it's also the lead on the front page of the Nigerian pilot. It says alleged lopsided recruitment. Senate probes DSS. Details of that story can be found on page 5. Above that, humanitarian crisis hits Taraba IDP camps. That's on page 5. And then you also have other stories that we have read from other publications. You know, they're also there. But just at the foot of the front page of the Nigerian pilot, said Nigeria set to launch Africa's first nano satellite. That story can be found on page 6. Well, Omini, that's the much, of course, that we can take in the newspaper review segment. We'd like to thank you for being with us.
It's a Friday.
Yeah, that's why we're thanking you. We hope you enjoy your weekend.
Thank you so much.
Yes. All right, so that does it for our newspaper review. We're taking a short break now. When we return, don't forget we have 3 items for conversation: Nigeria's response to the outbreak of Ebola in DRC. And then we'll also be looking at ease of doing business and 2 other executive orders signed by the acting president, plus ideology and Nigerian politicians. We'll take a short break now.